Hi everyone. I thought I'd just go over some concepts for the test on Friday. And just to begin with, we started the unit talking about the difference between environmental and natural disasters. Obviously, natural disasters, as the name suggests, is some sort of act of nature that would have happened without human intervention. So a thing like an earthquake or a volcano erupting. And environmental disasters are ones that are brought on by human activity. So, an oil spill, or for instance, an intentional release of air pollution. Um, Now, there's a blurring of the lines in that sometimes we'll have a natural disaster that has been accentuated or enhanced by human activities. So, for instance, we've discovered that Oklahoma is experiencing lots and lots of earthquakes because of all the fracking that they're doing there for oil and gas. So the earthquakes would normally be natural. However, we know that they're having far more of them because of the human activity that's going in the area. So we then started talking about the different impacts that environmental disasters can have, and there's that little acronym SPEERM, lovely name, that highlights the spectrum of the different types of impacts. Obviously, we're most concerned about the environmental impacts for this course, but there's also social impacts, economic impacts, and many, many more. You should be able to pick some type of natural or environmental disaster that we talked about in class and go through about four of those factors in detail. So don't just simply say people died, but give me a specific number of people who may have died from a natural disaster, the amount of damage that was created by the natural disaster in economic terms, and so on. I'm just going to skip down to the questions at the end here, and you would have watched that film, probably seen it a bunch of times. The Story of Stuff, great little film, highlighting this whole linear process that we have, where we extract the resources and then we manufacture the material, and then eventually it ends up in the trash. But we should be making it into a full cycle process. If you take a look at aluminum, it's probably one of the best recycled substances that we have. We extract it, we manufacture it into an aluminum can, it gets used by the consumer, it gets recycled, it gets put back into production again. And we have something like a 98% recycling rate of aluminum here in Canada because it's following that nice circular pattern instead of the typical five-stage process. We have this new phenomenon, though, where it's called manufactured demand. You never knew that you even wanted this product, but manufacturers have convinced you that you now need this. And there's all these new, for instance, flushable items that, for instance, when you go to clean your toilet, instead of using the old toilet brush, now they have this thing that you can clean your toilet and you just unclick it and it flushes down the toilet. They never bothered to ask any of the municipalities if the stuff is actually flushable, which their response is no, because it gets clogged and costs millions and millions of dollars to the infrastructure of cities. And so what the cities are saying is, look, if you're going to sell this product and say that it's flushable, then we would like to get some of the money back to fix the infrastructure. So instead of selling the stuff for $2, you need to sell it for $8 to reflect the true cost of the flushability of the product. And we'll take the $6 from that product and use it to fix the infrastructure that you've ruined. And then guess what? Yeah, you're not going to be able to sell it. But that's the true cost of the product. Is it has to take into account the extra impact of the item. I also showed it's a really rough film to watch, but it's about the use of Agent Orange over in the Vietnam War. At that time, there were no laws against using herbicides to destroy the jungle so that you could see your enemy and easily attack them. We had laws against using agents that were meant to kill people. You can't use chemical warfare anymore against humans, but you can kill off plants, at least at the time that Agent Orange was being used. It was actually tested here in Canada in New Brunswick at the big army base called Gagetown. And a lot of people got very sick from the use of that. And the American soldiers that used it to be deployed over in Vietnam, they got really sick from it because it contained one of the most toxic materials ever invented by humans, which is called dioxin. Dioxin is a horrible, horrible substance that remains in the ecosystem for a long period of time, and it just sort of works its way through the environment and easily gets absorbed into foods, into the water, and as you saw from the film, it causes horrific birth defects in people who are giving birth to children, and then it causes cancer for those people who have direct exposure to it. So. Horrible story. And the thing is that reparations were paid to Canadian and American people who were affected, but the United States never paid any reparations to the people of Vietnam, and they continue to suffer from this item. So, first of all, should that stuff be banned? Second of all, even though there wasn't a law at the time, should the United States be held accountable to pay those people for the damages that they've done? I think I might just keep it. No, I'll just quickly talk about e-waste and then I'll stop it for today. So e-waste, we took a look at this, what was supposed to be a great idea, that we're helping out developing countries by giving them free technology. Turned out to be just a complete corrupt thing where the developed world was dumping all of their electronic waste that they didn't know what to do with on developing nations and labeled it as, help. In actual fact, now they're stuck with all this garbage, which has got lots of heavy metals in it, which is dangerous for the environment, that they had to dispose of. So being creative people, the people in those countries went, maybe we can get the heavy metals out, and some of them were worth a lot of money. So they, with the limited tools at their disposal, came up with some innovative ways of getting the metals out, which was completely toxic to the environment and to the people. And as a result, we have this health crisis and environmental crisis in places like Ghana that have all of this electronic waste. Europeans and other countries got together and went, hey, this is terrible. This is ethically, morally wrong. We shouldn't be doing this. And the Basel Convention basically said, developed world can't do this anymore. You need to take back your own products and deal with it there. And so here in Niagara, you take your recycled electronics to any one of our recycling depots. They'll reprocess it at a certified site. It's not going to get exported because it's actually against the law now. But the United States didn't want to sign on the dotted line, and so it's now still legal for Americans to send their trash to places like Ghana. Ideally, what you want to do as a consumer is avoid this whole issue in the first place. If we can start making electronics out of more biodegradable materials and less heavy metals, the better for everyone. So what you can do is go to that ePEAT site and find out how green your new iPhone is going to be, or whether your new computer monitor has a low amount of toxic materials in it. So it's a great way for you to reward those companies that are trying to be ethical, and also to reduce the impact on the environment. I'll have more for you tomorrow. Don't forget to tell me what time of day on Friday you're going to be able to write the test. And if you have any questions, feel free to send me an email.